Every week, a new band. Brought to you by NZ On Air. Active Live! Yeah.
Kia ora koutou katoa no mai haere mai. Welcome to the show and welcome to our live room today. A big warm welcome going out to the Wellington Sea Shanty Society. We have Vaughan Don Le Pere Ete Maran and Lake Devoneer here with us today. Kia ora koutou, team. Thanks for joining us.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Lovely to have you here. Big thanks going out to our friends at NZ On Air Music who helped make this possible. So you're both joining us from the seas. You seafaring folk, you. Can you tell us how, to start with, how this all began, how your society began all the way back in 2012? Because I know, Lake, you were singing in a French sea shanty crew before then, is that right?
Yes, tiki tau. I went to France to be an assistant d'anglais, so just to teach English in primary schools, really. And I was posted in my second choice. My first choice was Lyon. I was posted in Nantes, which is the gateway to Brittany. And there I stayed on somebody's couch surfing when I first arrived. And he said, "Oh, I've got a mate who sings in a choir." And that was Jean-Philippe. And I went and sang with them. They were singing chants de marins, sea shanties. And eventually that turned into a band. And then I sang with them. And then I came back to New Zealand and I was like, oh, there must be some New Zealand sea shanties. And so I did a bit of research, found a couple. And then needed a squeeze box player. And the only person I knew who knew how to do that was Vaughan, Don Le Pere des Marins, with quite a suitable name for sea shanties, really.
How lucky I was born with that French sea shanty name.
Your father is from the sea or something. That's what,
His father was a sailor.
There
Yes.
we go. Oh, I love it. And then define for me a squeeze box for those of us who aren't from the sea. Is that what you have, the accordion-based thing on your...
Yeah, so squeeze box is probably the generic term for all of the boxes that you squeeze. This one's actually a piano accordion. But yeah, shanties have always had some kind of squeeze box element. Well, for a long time they have. But often on a boat it would just be the concertina, the little hexagonal guy with the buttons on each side. But those are impossible to play. So yeah, I like a piano accordion because at least one side is comprehensible. It's got piano keys.
Makes a lot of sense. It's such a fascinating history in general, the sea shanty history. What drew you to it? What do you know about it? And what can you share with our audience about sea shanties in general?
Well, I knew nothing about it coming to it from, I just got, I was doing hip hop and heavy metal covers on the accordion prior to Lake hitting me up to do some sea shanties. So
Natural progression, of course.
yeah, natural progression from doing Led Zeppelin to doing 200-year-old sailor songs. But yeah, no, I think it's been fun learning how many of the songs are of New Zealand origin or have New Zealand versions as well, because that was all basically Lake doing internet research as much as anything else, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't grow up into sea shanties at all, and I got into them in France, and then when I came back, I looked some up, and then that kind of led me down the road of exploring more about the history, sort of that sort of first contact period when Pākehā first arrived to Aotearoa and were like killing whales and stuff. So that was an interesting time, and then I sort of got into that whole history in that period before, I guess, before the treaty was signed and that kind of thing. And there was a great book called Pākehā Māori, and sort of some of the Māori that how Pākehā had to assimilate into Māori culture as opposed to the other way around. So that was an interesting time, and I guess, and so we have written a few songs about that period and kind of in the sea shanty style.
Yeah, most of those are on our second album. Now That's What I Call Sea Shanties.
Volume 2.
Volume 2. One of 2 volumes of Now That's What I Call Sea Shanties, which I love.
Yeah, so Volume 1 was when we were just learning the songs, basically. So they were all more songs from the shanty canon that we were learning up ourselves. Yeah, and then on the second album we did just about half originals, I think, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of them based on, that kind of historical period that Lake had been researching.
Amazing. I love that because you think of sea shanties and you do think of sort of, colonial, hundreds of years old songs. But you both compose your own songs, as you've just sort of mentioned there. Can you talk about the process of composing a sea shanty? What does that look like to you both?
A little bit of cheating because, strictly speaking, it has to go 1-2. They were originally work songs, so you had to go bomb bap so that people could like that yo heave ho thing.
Of course.
Literally timing for hauling on a rope or winding up a thing. So we do a little bit of cheating in that. It's more songs about the sea than strictly shanties.
If it mentions waves or the sea, then
you can sneak it in there. And so then it's about the instrumentation, giving it that old school feel with the accordion and the guitar.
Yeah, Vaughan sticks a lot more to the to the genre than I do in terms of making them kind of strictly shanties, and I guess I kind of just write pop songs about the sea.
We're the Beach Boys of sea shanties. Never surfed a day in our lives.
Absolutely.
Never killed a whale.
No. I'm glad of that, actually. On balance.
I'm glad to hear that, to be honest. Oh, that's amazing. So what is the first sea shanty you have for us today?
Speaking of original sea shanties, this is the first one I wrote. And yes, I guess it's not really strictly a sea shanty, but
it's got a lot of the rhythms of the French sea shanties.
Yes, that's true.
You would have been influenced by that.
Yes, and I wrote this one in Nantes, and it's called The Waves of the Great Open Sea.
Wonderful. Excited to hear it. Let's get into it, shall we?
Lost patience for dry land and the slow, powerless fate. Is this life guided by my hands, or the man is coin in the state? And the song of solace in sweethearts and in bed drunk among friends, but the gloom grows in the daylight as we sell our souls to the scum. There's a glory just beyond our sight. It was passed from father to son. So set our sails tomorrow. Tonight we'll drink merrily. With the wind there's a way to find freedom. On the waves of the great open sea. With the wind there's a way to find freedom. On the waves of the great open sea. On the waves of the great open sea. Set our sails tomorrow. Tonight let's drink merrily. With the wind there's a way to find freedom. On the waves of the great open sea. With the wind there's a way to find freedom. On the waves of the great open sea. On the waves of the great open sea. On the waves of the great open sea. On the waves of the great open sea.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, team.
Ahoy.
For those of you just joining us, we're saying ahoy to the Wellington Sea Shanty Society, who are in for our Active Live today, with thanks to NZ On Air Music, of course. I know you mentioned just before that is that's got a French style to it. Can you define for our listeners what the difference between sort of a French sea shanty and a New Zealand sea shanty would be?
Mostly time signature, eh? Like the Kiwi ones or the Anglo ones tended to be always 2 beats, so that you could go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and so it's like you grab the thing and you pull the thing. Those are the 2 elements of work, as I understand it. But yeah, the French ones are in 3 time, but they do this weird stomp at the start, so it's like they'll be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but it's really just the first one that they're doing all the work on. So it's like grab the thing, pull the thing, grab the thing, pull the thing. Yeah, so French shanties are kind of waltzes, where Anglo shanties are kind of polkas, I guess.
Get a whole extra beat.
Yeah, that's it. They're all about workers' rights. Give you another moment to work.
Yeah, it does seem that a lot of the French ones are sort of more of an up middle finger to the captain, and you get more of that in the English or the English ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I can see why you like to write them then. Oh, that's very cool. Because I know, and I'm sure you guys have heard as the sea shanty connoisseurs in this place, there was quite a big hype about a particular sea shanty, the Wellerman, which I know you recorded back in 2013 recently. Did you see this? And how do you feel and why do you think that song got so popular?
Well, it got popular because it's a banger.
There we go. Of course.
Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of weird for us having dragged the thing around New Zealand and around France a couple of times. Yeah, and then just to see it sort of blow up on the internet as well. But I mean, it was always, from the time we started doing live shows, it was always really popular with crowds, even people who hadn't heard it. So it's just one of those things. It's a, great song. Can't keep a great song down.
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, it was always probably the last song we were playing a set, and everyone would dance, and now it's
it's taken over the world.
Yeah.
We're not bitter at all, that the guy got his 19 million views on the TikToks, that was
we
fun.
got a couple of million streams. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, we accidentally
Hey.
got million Spotify streams just from people looking for his version, I think, by accident. So it was
I
like
did see that. It's a very popular version of the song. It's very exciting. Because that was back from the 1800s or something, wasn't it? The song itself?
Yeah, I mean the Weller companies, whaling company in Dunedin. Yeah.
And the song was probably written in Sydney,
Oh,
they reckon, by a guy who
okay.
had been in New Zealand briefly or whatever. But yeah, so there'll be first half of the 19th century when it was written. So yeah, imagine your song becoming a hit like 100 years after you died. Like, that's crazy.
That's crazy. That's artistry for you, I guess. Oh, how funny. Now, you have a recording of that, but you also record more contemporary songs. Like, I know you've got a Eurythmics cover as well. What and how do you choose the covers that you have, and what covers have you done that you feel are really special?
I guess we choose the ones to record that work well live. And I guess we were looking for a theme for the last EP, Sea Shanties of the 70s.
80s.
And
Today.
So that kind of limited our choices somewhat. But yeah, those songs had been kicking around live for a while, and we wanted to record them. And I guess if we think we can bring something to the table and shantify them slightly, then that's always a goal. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dave Dobbin's Whaling is like, it's not very shanty in terms of the beat or anything, but it's kind of an obvious choice for if you want to do a classic New Zealand 80s song, that's vaguely shanty-ish. That's kind of the one. Yeah, and we do, the Rhythmics one is Sweet Dreams, which is about travelling the world in the 7 seas. And there's another, it's just got a great stompy shanty feel to it as well.
Yeah, and sailing is always fun to do live.
A little bit of yacht rock
Yes.
in your shanty set.
Oh, incredible. So to shantify is to add sort of words about the sea to a song?
I mean,
was your
ideally, they've
struggle?
already got words about the sea,
Yeah.
and then to shantify, we're just giving it a boom and a chick.
Yeah, that's
A boom chick, boom chick.
I see.
speed it up and strip off all the elaborate bits, basically. Uh,
The secret sauce.
yeah.
I see, I see. Oh, that's awesome. Now, do you both have a favourite sea shanty yourselves?
Sort of comes and goes, eh?
Yeah.
The one I've been singing the most recently is one we haven't done live for ages. And that's the Mingulay boat song.
Oh, yeah.
That's a corker. Yeah.
Yes.
But just depends if you're if you're feeling more maudlin or more cheery, because a lot of the ones we do live often are the sort of more upbeat ones. Yeah. But there's some real great, like Mingulay boat song is more of a mournful one. Yeah, and some of those are really nice.
Yeah, a lot of the French ones as well. Avec mon harmonica.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Don't
yeah, there's
forget.
a lot of great French ones. And even like our friends across the Dom, we're going to go and play in Canada with them soon, and they write some originals. So, I mean, that they extend the meaning of sea shanty as well.
Yeah.
And they've got one called J'ai acheté un bateau, I bought a boat, which is about a guy from Paris buying a boat and never using it, just drinking booze on it, which is a classic.
Yeah, there's a classic of the genre.
Oh, amazing. That does sound like an absolute classic. And I'm very excited to hear more about this trip to Canada and the other things you've got coming up on the horizon very soon. But shall we have a song in between those?
Yes, we thought we would do a traditional, and this one is also of our first album,
Now that's what I call sea shanties.
Volume 1.
And this song is called Come All You Tonguers.
Wonderful.
Come all you tonguers
And loving
lovers. There's a job cutting in and boiling down blubber. A job for the youngster or roll and bailing. The agent will take any man for show whaling. I am paid in soap and sugar and rum for cutting and whale and boiling down tongue. The agent's fee makes my blood soda boil. I'll push him in a hot pot of oil. Go hang the agent, the company too. They are making a fortune off me and off you. No chance of a passage from out of this place. And the price of living is a bloomin' disgrace. I am paid in soap and sugar and rum for cutting and whale and boiling down tongue. The agent's fee makes my blood soda boil. I'll push him in a hot pot of oil.
Push him in, bro.
I am paid in soap and sugar and rum for cutting and and boiling down tongue. Makes my blood soda boil. I'll push him in a hot pot of oil. I am paid in soap and sugar and rum for cutting down and boiling down tongue. Makes my blood soda boil. I'll push him in a hot pot of oil.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that, team. For anyone who's just joining us, we are joined by the wonderful Wellington Sea Shanty Society. And now we were just chatting about your friends who you're performing with in Canada. You've got a couple of festivals over there, do you?
Yes, we're playing at the Bay of Fundy, it's called, and I think it's just called the Bay of Fundy Sea Shanty Festival.
Nice.
And then we're playing at Saint-Jean-Port-Joli, je crois, and that is just north of Quebec, at a little, I guess, seaside town, I assume. And that festival is just called Chant des Marins, yeah, Sea Shanty Festival, yeah. Yeah, we were actually going to play there a few years ago. Oh, actually,
2019?
it was the year. I mean, it was COVID.
Yeah.
We were actually booked to play that year at that festival and some other festivals around Quebec, and obviously it didn't happen. Yeah.
Oh, man, the classic C word, you know?
Yeah.
So that's very exciting, first off, and congratulations. Have you played it? What is it with Canada and their sea shanty festivals? Have you played there before? And obviously they seem like they have quite an affinity for it.
No, well, we were just looking for another country that might have one. Because we went to France, is it 3 times we've been over now?
Maybe.
We've played at Paimpol twice.
Yeah.
So Paimpol is the biggest sea shanty festival in probably Europe.
In the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's
so,
like 100,000 people over the whole weekend.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And Paimpol's the name of the town. It's like about the size of Picton maybe.
Yeah.
And it's just completely taken over by this festival.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so we were looking for something with a similar vibe, and we speak English and the Frenchies speak French. So we were like, where's French and English and sea shanty? And Canada seemed to be the only other place where it might be happening. Yeah, and then we found some festivals.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got a pretty strong sea shanty festival, sea shanty culture there on the
East Coast?
on the East Coast. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. So the culture of sea shanties is obviously associated with, seaside towns. Is there anything specific that, these towns tend to, do they have their own sea shanty groups that perform there a lot? Or are they kind of new to sea shanties? How do you find that they respond when you play?
Well, in France, it's funny, because the old schoolers, there will be sea shanty groups, but they're usually like 80-year-old men.
Yeah.
who
But
have-
every town will have a sea shanty
Yeah,
group. It'll be like
Yeah.
like the Wellington Sea Shanty Society, and then they'll have the
yeah.
Te Awamutu.
Sea Shanty Society. But they all stand in a line with no instruments, and they just go, this is the song that we're singing. And it's kind of low energy because, they're very, very old.
And they've all got matching
Sailor
tops.
shirts, yeah.
Amazing.
with their little logo on them or something.
Yeah, so we're kind of a little bit sacrilegious when we show up. Sometimes we do similar songs, or the same songs that they do, but just twice as fast and very loud. So, yeah, God knows what they think, the poor old guys.
You guys are the rock and roll of the sea shanty.
Yeah, punk shanty.
Shanty, exactly. That's awesome. And how do you find, because I know you guys have what looks like a rip-roaring time when you're performing live. How do you find that New Zealand audiences respond?
Once they got it,
Yeah. I mean, it ranges. I mean, some places in Ōtautahi, Christchurch, that's it's quite. We fear for our safety there because it's just out of control.
Yeah.
And last time we played at
it's like a surf life floating club.
It was maybe 40% of earthquake code, and the whole place was just jumping up and down. It was out of control.
Yeah, we're in the centre of this whirlpool of people dancing around in a circle, and you could feel the floor slowly giving way. It's I guess this is how shanty bands go out.
What a way to go,
Yeah,
eh?
so some people absolutely love them, and we get a similar reaction out at Breaker Bay. But yeah, I guess some other people can be just a bit confused.
Depends how shy you are, eh? Because we typically give out song sheets to the whole crowd so people can sing along, and then it's like if people get a few beers in them and their mates are singing too, then it sort of feeds on itself. But yeah, you can get the classic Kiwi embarrassment cycle as well, where they don't want to sing in front of their mates, and so then we're just left trying to rock them up while we're drowning ourselves. But yeah, no, it's kind of because that's what the show's for. it's for people to get into. So it's not as rewarding just to sit and watch us play, because it's not like we're the flashiest players on earth. So
it's definitely a participatory event.
Get out what you put in.
Yep.
That's awesome. I love to hear that you hand out song sheets too. That's such a beautiful way to collaborate with the people who come to your shows. Do you find, because I know you are playing in Peta One very soon, which we're going to chat about a bit, but that's awesome. So the Shanty Book, is that something that people can sort of get in advance, or can they buy it from you guys? Is there merch available?
Actually, I mean, a lot of people try and steal them.
Yeah, which is a real bummer if you're on tour.
Do buy them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just paper. You can print them out.
Yeah.
They're quite expensive to print. So
we discourage people from taking them, but that doesn't stop people from taking them, which I guess that's what happens when you spend 2 hours singing about pirates. People's morals go out the windows.
What happens when you've had a couple of beers and you're joining on in, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Forget about it. Oh, that's so funny. But it's going to be such an awesome show. You're playing at the St. James Sea Scout Hall in Peta One very soon on the 15th of July. You're also doing a little show for the younger seafaring crowd out there, for the kids. Can you tell us about how that came to be, and how do kids respond to your shows?
Well, that was when we sold out at Breaker Bay last time, eh? Lake had the idea of doing a matinee, and then we thought I would make it at first it was just more for people who had kids, and they couldn't make it to the day, like the nighttime shows, you know. So we thought we'd throw in a couple of kids' songs, but it's sort of, the last one we did was more of a kids' party, eh? So we only do about 6 or 7 songs. Treasure hunt. They get to make up their own sea shanty. We sort of asked them, what should we do with the drunken sailor, and their suggestions are usually like, They're usually very kind compared to the song.
Yeah.
I just give them chocolates.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome. What a gorgeous show that's going to be.
Yeah, we're playing with another our friend's band as well, Safari Kids, Sam Safari.
Oh yeah.
And he's written a whole album of kids songs, and he has a what do you call it? A unicorn.
Oh yeah, there's a unicorn who helps people make up lyrics to the songs and dance moves for the things, and their show's great. They've got one song called Bounce, which is like the world's greatest earworm. I won't sing it now, you'll get infected. But check it out. Bounce by Safari Kids.
Amazing. And a unicorn to boot. What an exciting show that's going to be. Lord almighty. Now, what do you hope people take away from the show that you are doing on?
Not the song sheets.
Apart from the song sheets, of course.
Well, like we say, it's all about getting involved, I hope they come away with, maybe just a little tickle in the back of their throat because they've got a sore...
Because they sang so hard.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
It really is. We're just kind of facilitating other people singing. Well, we're more just kind of the conductors at the top. And then everyone else just to sing and dancing. Yeah.
What a beautiful collaborative experience it's going to be. And I commend you both for putting it on for people. Now, my final question today, I know you both juggle other amazing musical projects in your own rights. How do you find juggling this kind of music and the other kinds of music you both make?
It's good that it's different. I think if you were in 5 of the same kind of band, you would get tired pretty quick. But the sea shanty is so different to Lake's normal music and my normal music that it's always a nice change.
Yeah, and also we've played it for so long, since 2012, and often, when we're in France, we're playing every day for a month. So we've done big tours, so we don't really need to practice that much.
Which is great. I love a band that doesn't practice. If any of the kids that I teach are listening, practice.
Yes, this is not advice for the kids that you teach.
Practice or you'll end up like me.
Yes. Oh, no, scrap that part, actually, cut it. And so there's a lot of practice involved.
Yeah. Great deal of hard work.
Hey, it seems outwardly like there's a lot of practice involved at least. So, you fooled us.
Very good.
Oh, awesome. Hey, catch these guys on the 15th of July at the St. James Sea Scout Hall in Peta One. Thank you so much for joining us. Where do we get tickets for this show?
Oh, just under the radar, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yep, I think we're about half sold. So.
get in quick if you want to head along. Great time for the kiddies as well. It's going to be awesome. And now for our final song today, what are we leaving with?
Well, it'd be rude not to do the number one sea shanty in the world, wouldn't it?
No, it would be rude not to.
I think it would be. Thanks so much for being here, team, and thanks to NZ On Music for helping us out with this one here. This is, I'm guessing, the Wellerman.
It is.
Wonderful.
That put to sea, and the name of the ship was a Billy at Sea. The wind blew up her bow, it down, oh blow my bully boys, blow. Soon may the Wellerman come, bring us sugar and tea
And rum.
One day on a tongue and stone, we'll take our leave and go. She had not been 2 weeks from shore, and down on her right whale bore. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take that whale in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come, bring us sugar and tea
And rum.
One day on the tongue and stone, we'll take our leave and go. That hit the water, the whale still came up and caught her. Hands to the side, harpooned and fought her when she died below her. Soon may the Wellerman come, bring us sugar and tea
And rum.
One day when the tongue is done, we'll take our leave and go. No line was cut, no whale was free. Now
Captain's mind up full of grief,
for he belonged to the Wellington Creek.
she took that ship in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come,
bring us sugar and tea and rum.
one day when the tongue is done, we'll take our leave and go. Oh!
For 40 days or even more, the line went slack
Stand tight once more.
Our boats were lost, there were only 4, but
Still the whale did go.
Soon may the Wellerman come, bring us sugar and tea
And rum.
One day when the tongue is done,
We'll take our leave and go.
As far as I know, the fight's still on. The line's not cut and the whale not gone. The Wellerman makes his regular call to the captain, crew, and all. Soon may the wellerman come, bring us sugar and tea
and rum.
One day when the tonguing's done,
We'll take our leave and go.
Soon may the wellerman come
And bring us sugar and tea and rum.
One day when the tonguing's done,
We'll take our leave and go.
Ahoy.
Ahoy.
Active Live. Friday, 3:30. Every week a new band. In studio. Brought to you by NZ On Air.